Hi there, and welcome to this quick tip for having a better Zoom video call experience. Today we're talking about breakout rooms and specifically how to configure breakout rooms as the host of a meeting. I'm going to assume that you've already watched our other video on how to participate in breakout rooms as a video call participant. In this video I'm going to talk about what you're doing behind the scenes to make that happen. So first of all, who can do what? What kind of roles do you have to have within a Zoom call in order to do breakout room stuff? So there's two relevant roles here, the host and the co-host. And the host basically is the one who has to do almost everything. If you're not the host, you really can't see much of anything. So this is a job that the host of the call does. The host can open the breakout rooms, assign people to them, move people around, etc. The co-host has a little bit of rights. The co-host can actually choose what room they're assigned to, so they can switch between rooms, which is helpful if they're going to go in and assist people as a facilitator in a particular breakout room. But other than that, the co-host can't do anything. It's all on the host. Next, let's talk about assignments. How do you assign people into a breakout room? In this case, I'm the host of the meeting, so I'll show you what that would look like. So as the host of a meeting, I've got a little button right over here that says breakout rooms. Other people won't see this, and participants won't see this until the room is open, but as I'm the host, I can set that up. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this breakout room button, and to help you see this, I'm going to take this up to a full screen. So here's our breakout room interface, and let me walk you through the key elements here. In this case, we have 3 participants. I'm the host, and then we have 3 other people in the call. And I can assign them into one, 2, or 3 different breakout rooms. In this case, I'm going to take the default of 2 rooms, but I could put everyone in one room if I wanted to, or each person in their own. But 2 rooms sounds sensible. If I don't care who's in what room, I can just say assign them automatically and hit the button to assign 1 to 2 people per room. Or, this is what I typically do, I can assign them manually. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the manual button, and then I'm going to create the breakout rooms. Creating the breakout rooms isn't going to do anything in terms of what the participants see. You can do this at any time that you'd like. You can do it before any participants have even joined the call, which is what I would typically do. So when I click this button, it'll give me an interface to set up the breakout rooms. Now, by default, they're called breakout room 1, 2, 3. I like to rename them with, for example, a team name. You can click, if you hover here, you can click on the rename, and I can call this, for example, team 1. You can click on the next one, call this Team 2, or whatever you'd like to call them. And now I can assign people. So when I click on this assign button at the end of the row, it will pop up a list of the people who are currently on the call. So if someone's not on the call, you can't assign them. If someone's late coming in, you have to wait until they get in to put them in a breakout room. There are ways around this, but they're kind of more complicated and tetchy than you want them to be. And so in practice, you can set up your breakout rooms ahead of time, but you can't put people in them until they're in the call. And the host is the one who has to do that. So in this case, I'm going to assign, let's say, my work PC and my work phone to the first breakout room, and I'll assign my personal phone to the second breakout room. Now, I can see these because the disclosure arrows are open. Depending, I think on PC, I tend to see these closed by default. So if you're trying to assign people, recognize that if you click on this little arrow and pop it down, you can see who's in what room, and that's typically what you want to do. And so when I've got the assignments the way I like them, then I'm ready to go. But before I open it, let me show you a couple of other things. If I want to move someone to another room, I can click on this move to, and it'll show me the other rooms. In this case, there's just one other room, so I could click on Team 2, and it will switch the assignment. I can also exchange people. I can say I want to switch my let's say I'm going to switch my phone with my work phone. So maybe if you want to swap people between rooms, rather than having to remember who you've moved, you can just say swap one with the other, which is what I'm going to do here. So I've swapped my, my phone and my work phone. So once I have the room set up the way I'd like them to be, I can just leave it. That's fine. But when I click on this button here that says open all rooms, that's when the magic's going to start. That's when people are going to get ready to go in. So don't do that until you're absolutely ready to open the room. Which brings us to the next part, which is opening and closing breakout rooms. You can create a breakout room ahead of time. But opening the breakout room is opening it so that people will go into it. You can either force people in, like when you hit open, boom, they go in, or the nicer thing to do is to just invite them in, which is what I'm going to show you here. So we have this breakout room ready to go, or actually this pair of breakout rooms, and I'm going to click the button to open all rooms. When I click this, my other computers get a notification. The host is inviting you to join breakout room team 2. The host is inviting you to join breakout room team 1. And you'll have a later button, so people can say, not now. So if you accidentally open it, you could tell people, just click later, but you don't typically want to do that. You could just click join. People click join, and then they're gone. So when you hit the button that says open all rooms, immediately people have a pop-up in front of whatever else they were watching with a button that says join. So don't show that until you're done saying everything you want to say, because as soon as you do that, people will start disappearing. They'll hit join and they're gone from your call. So be careful about the timing of hitting that button. You'll notice that when I clicked it, it changed the word to close all rooms. If I hit close, it will send people a notification saying that they need to come back. And it will actually start a timer. By default, it's 60 seconds. It can be anything from 10 seconds to 2 minutes. But it will start a timer, and after that time is up, it will physically kick people out of the breakout rooms and back into the main session if you close the room. You don't have to close the room. In practice, we often just send a notification to tell people, please come back. But if you hit close, that will ensure that people within a minute or two, depending on your settings, will be back in the main session. Okay, so let's talk about a request for help. Once people are gone into the breakout rooms, and let me see if I've got people in the breakout rooms yet. Let me move this one I'm going to move someone into a breakout room so I can send a request for help. So I'm going to go ahead and join, and I'll do the same here. I'm going to join from some of these other phones. So once someone goes into a breakout room, as you may have seen from our other video, if they need help, and notice that as they've gone, they disappear from here. Actually, I'll take this one up here, join, and as they go, everybody's gone. It's just me, and I can also close this interface. I can come back to it if I need to. So notice it's just me, the host, in the main session. Everyone else is off in different calls. So let's say someone needs help. So I'm going to go over here, and as a participant, I'm going to click the button that says Ask for Help. So when someone asks for help, this is what happens. And they have to say yes, invite host. So I'm going to get a pop-up. The pop-up says, someone, in this case Jeff Work PC, but someone in breakout room name, which I like to call Teams, but person in breakout room asked for help. Now this stage you've got options. You cannot send them a chat that says what do you want, because you can't chat to them. Someone has to go into the room. It can be the host. The thing you want to be careful about is if the host goes into another room and then they get another request, it kind of gets difficult. What I like to do if you can is if you can have a co-host, a facilitator, you can tell the co-host there's a request in room 1, can you go over there? Or you can even move them into room 1, and then they can join the breakout room and help them out, and you're still back there as the host managing the main room. So as a host, I like to stay in the main room, and if there's a request for help, either ask people to come back to the main room, to leave their breakout room, or if they hit the ask for help button, then I will send a co-host into that room. And recently they've changed it so the co-host can change their own room assignments, which takes some of the burden off the host. So I can say join the breakout room. If I click that button, I will actually go join that call. Let's try that. So I'm going to click the button. So I'm leaving the main room. I wouldn't normally do this, but I could. And now I am in the breakout room with the other participants, and I could say, hi, do you have a problem? Do you need some help with something? Answer their question, and then I leave the room, and I'll leave the breakout room, which is the last option, and I'll go back to the main session, and the breakout rooms continue as they were before. So that's an example of how that works. Now, let's see, what do we want to talk about next? Notifications. So let's say, put this back here, let's say that I need to send a notification, for example, time's almost up, and I want people to come back. So the way that I do this is, if you go to the breakout button down here, the one that's right over there, breakout rooms, and I'm going to click on that. If I do that, it'll pop up that same interface that lets me open and close the breakout rooms. But I also have an option here to broadcast a message to all. So I'm going to click on that, and it just pops up a text field here. And what I like to do, what I recommend you consider doing, is to go ahead and have your notifications identified and prepared in advance for the things that you know as part of your activities, for example, that you're going to do. So here's an example from a class that I've got. I've got some text, and I am going to just move this over for you, and I'm just going to copy some of this text here. So that is my notification. I'm going to select all that and copy, and then I can just go into this broadcast and just paste it in. Now I want you to notice something about this, because notifications don't work really well in the current version of Zoom. They don't hang around for a long time, and by default it just makes a little banner at the top. We tried just doing enter to have it go down the page and make space, and it just deleted those. So you'll notice this notification has a period and then little icons just to force the notification to take up more physical space, and then a single line at the bottom, because there is a character limit as well. I'm not sure what it is, but you kind of get like a sentence, maybe two. But since it's also only up for a short period of time and people may be engaged in a conversation, you really have to get right to the point, like an email subject line. So in this case it says, time's up, leave the breakout room and return ASAP. Give a quick instruction. And when I click this button to broadcast, it sends it out, and other people get the pop-up in their window. Everyone in every breakout room will get that notification. And that's a way to kind of bring people back without having to actually close the room. Your experience may vary as to how quickly people get back, but that's kind of nicer for people to sort of say, come back as soon as you can. So that is how you send notifications. Last item I wanted to mention, let's see where we are in the progress here. So that was, we've done requests for help. We've done requests for help and sending notifications. The last thing I wanted to mention was a couple of tips. When do you want to use breakout rooms? In general, if you're doing activities, the key determinant is, do you need to have a team or small group-based discussion? People can have activities and still be in the main room, but once you need people to have multiple conversations at the same time, that's the trigger to go into a breakout room. And breakout rooms work really well, but the one thing to be aware of is that when you go into the breakout room, you lose the slides. So if you're presenting and you've got, for example, instructions to people, they may be on screen like this, but when people leave, they leave your instructions for your activities. And so unless you put a facilitator in each different breakout room, you're reliant on whatever instructions you've given people. So we tend to lean on things like OneNote or Mural as a tool to, like an online tool to put the instructions into, so that when people go into the breakout room, they can pull that up, and that works like a template to guide them through, since they can't look at my slides, for example. And so breakout rooms, good and necessary for team-based discussions, but if it's a complex activity, give thought to how you can make sure that it remains understood and clear for people after they've left your main session. With that, that's our tips on how to have more effective breakout rooms as a host. Recognize that it's mostly the host who has to do things, although the co-host can move between rooms. People get assigned. You can create the rooms at the beginning, but you can't assign people into the rooms until they get into the call. You can switch them around between the rooms quite easily, though. You can create the room at any time, but once you open it, people are going to get that notification and they're going to start leaving. When you close it, people have about a minute to come back, so you can just ask them to come back, but if you actually close it, it will force people back. If you get a request for help, you can't chat to people, so you need to go into the room. I recommend if you have a co-host, send the co-host in so you can remain back in case people come into the main session requesting for help. And when you're sending notifications, try to make them tall so that they can grab attention. So have maybe a single character down the left and then a single sentence that can be very quickly read, telling people what they need to know. Those are our tips for having effective Zoom breakouts as hosts. If you have any questions, please reach out. And with that, I wish you a good luck on your next Zoom call. Take care.